Hi, everybody. So, today on Tuesday, January 5th, welcome back to a new year and so glad to see everyone. So, today in class, what we did was we joined the new class. I had sent the code in the second quarter, but that class has been archived. So, when you get back, I'll get it. The code is D like David, IIG 7MG. So that way it'll let you join the class. It says Miss Madrid's third quarter reading layer. And we have no spelling this week because we have took the test so I could see where you are for the new year. We are only have reading, so 30 minutes a night, tonight, tomorrow, which is Wednesday, Thursday. No homework Friday, no homework Monday because we're not doing it. And then we did amplify, so I need you to do that for 15 minutes. You need to take a screenshot and upload it for me, please. We did the bell ringer today, which does, do you know anything at all about Don Quixote? So Don Quixote is our new story for this unit, and it was originally written back in the 1600s in Spanish, and it's been translated throughout the world for hundreds of years, literally. And it is about this guy who decided that he wanted to make a dream come true and then all of the consequences of it. So we talked a little bit about knights and reminding you guys last year you learned about the medieval and middle ages. So you learned about knights, you learned about serfs, you learned about lords and ladies of the castle and all of those kind of things. You learned a little bit about chivalry. Um, and so then that's a little bit about what we talked about. And then I went ahead and I read sorry, I have garbage on my desk. Anyway, so then I went ahead and read the very first chapter so that you guys could get an idea of what kind of person we're talking about. During this, we're looking for character traits, what kind of person, and how do you know, what evidence do you have? We're also looking at, do we think he made the right choices or not? And why. So you're going to persuade somebody yes or no, your choice. And I'm going to go ahead and start reading this and then we'll talk about it. So it's called A Knight in Armor. Sorry. Once there was a man who went crazy from too much reading. He read only books about knighthood. That was the problem. Those books told about the adventures of knights in armors, their fantastic encounters with dragons, monsters, giants, wizards, and even other knights. There was also talk of love, because each knight had a lady of his dreams. Soon the man came to believe that all of those fantastic tales were true. One day he decided to become a knight, for he wanted to right all that was wrong in the world and punish evil. And alone in his room he practiced jousting, so like those they ride the horses with the really long lance stick things and try to knock each other off. Wham, 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 like the heroes in his book, he always won. All this happened in a little village in a province or an area called La Mancha in the heart of Spain, which heart of Spain just means in the middle. The man had lived in the same place all of his life as his parents and grandparents had before him. He was about 50. He was tall and thin and was an honorable man or a perfect gentleman. Two other people lived in his home. They were his pretty, cheerful, innocent niece, about 20, and his plump housekeeper, about 40, who was a good, friendly soul with strong opinions about everything. And a boy did the chores around the house. We also talked a little bit how it's kind of weird, like that, how they described him and the other people. And we just talked about it. That's how they spoke back in that time. So that's how the guy wrote. It is not clear what the gentleman's real name was. Some think it was Alonso Quijano, but the last name could have been Quijada, Quesada, or Quixana. He came from a respectable family, and that was why he was called Don Alonso. He had inherited a little bit of land and very little else, and when he became ill or got sick, he sold many, many acres of good farmland to buy more of his favorite books. So we talked about how Don would be like an equivalent of English, where we say Mr. Jones instead of calling him by Don Jones. Um, and so this is a form of respect, Don Alonso. One day he began the actual preparations to become a knight. Somewhere in the house there was an old suit of armor that had belonged to his great grandfather. He cleaned it, polished it, and fixed it up as best he could. But the helmet was such bad shape, it had to be tied together. So it's like not working at all. A horse he already had, old and bony. Not much of a horse, but a mount nonetheless. And mount in this one means a horse. Okay, he spent 4 whole days thinking of a good name for his horse. It would be Rocinante. And what a good name it was. Rocin is a Spanish word that means nag or workhorse, and antes means before. To most people, the name meant this was once a horse, but to Don Alonso, it meant a steed or a horse above and beyond all other horses in the world. His own name, Don Alonso, didn't seem good enough for a knight, so he changed it to Don Quixote and added de la Mancha so that everyone would know where he came from. So in Spanish, if we say de, it means from or of. Don Quixote de la Mancha. What a fine sounding name for a knight. But he still needed a lady to dream about, a lady to receive his homage or worship from his defeated enemies. No one knew he was in love, but he was so secret, it seems, that even the lady herself didn't know he liked her. She was a rough girl from nearby El Toboso, which is another place, and she was plain, rough, and ordinary, which means she wasn't very pretty at all. Her name was Alonza Lorenzo. He had only seen her once in his life, once. And without her knowledge or her knowing, he pronounced her his lady and called her Dulcinea del Toboso. Her name, like the others, was well chosen. It came from the Spanish word dulce, which means sweet. Don Quixote was very pleased with his preparations. So we talked about what kind of guy is he? Like we decided he's probably pretty determined, but a little bit on the loony side, because who still does knights in shining armor stuff? We also decided that if we were the lady, we would maybe be mad because he's never seen her before, or she's only seen him once, and he's never told her he's in love with her or tried to win her over. And she might be a little bit embarrassed because here's this weird guy that is in love with her. And I thought maybe she might be a little bit creeped out because here's this guy, I've only seen him once, and now he loves me. So that was the end of that. We have the vocabulary slides are up in Google Classroom. And then we also did the reading fluency passage. I did go ahead and post it. And you will find that it has some words that are highlighted. They're kind of tricky words. And I read it, and then everybody read behind me. So we'll have that going on for you to be practicing. Today we just wrote in the question for fluency practice. We just wrote in 10 minutes. Tomorrow we'll put the timer on, and then you can actually do it. Thursday I'm going to ask you to videotape yourself reading it for me and upload it. And then Friday there's a question about the reading that I'll have you guys do. So I'm hoping that I will see you on Zoom tomorrow, which would be Wednesday the 6th, and have a great afternoon. Bye.